We're ready.
Good evening. It's 7 o'clock. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Regular meeting of the Bedminster Township Committee for October the 15th, 2018. We have our entire committee with us tonight. And Ms. Lindsay, can I get the Open Public Meetings Act statement?
Adequate notice of this meeting of the Township Committee was sent to the Courier News, Somerville, Burnersville News, Whippany, and to all subscribers and posted at the Township Municipal Building on January 8, 2018.
I'll ask you all to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have on tonight's agenda two set of meeting minutes to review and hopefully approve. Both are from our October 1st meeting. We have the agenda session and the executive session. Does anybody have any comments or questions or amendments?
Just one, Mayor, on page 5, Jackie Weber, Wood Duck Pond, stated she noted that an attorney was fired to assist. It should be, I think, hired. They may have later fired him, but...
That's a significant change.
One letter makes a difference.
Hired or fired, all right. I think that. Trina, can you take that?
Yes, sir.
Anything else? Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Permits and raffles. We don't have any. This is unprecedented.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. I don't think we've had a meeting where we don't have a permit or raffle.
No, I thought that was an error today.
I know.
No, there
It's
are
not.
There are none. All right, well. Public comments. Twice every meeting, we open that microphone at that podium up to any member of the public that wishes to be heard on any subject. We ask you to state your name and your address and then speak your piece. So anybody that wishes to come up, you'll have a second opportunity at the end of the meeting. Yeah. And you're not seen on the camera, so that the audio is for the recording.
Oh, so I put on makeup for nothing?
We all think you're beautiful, so that's not a problem.
Aw, that's...
Anyway, hi. It's nice to see you. My name is Dr. Jane Schumann, and I live at 22 Crestmont Road, happily for the last almost 33 years. And that's Sharon over there. She's my neighbor. Anyhow, I was away for the latter part of the summer, and when I came back, I heard something very disturbing, and I wanted to bring it to the committee and find out if, in fact, this was true. Someone told me that there was a website up, and it was maneuvered somehow so that if you went onto the Bedminster Democrat website, you got into something else, and that it was changed by a member of this committee. Is that true?
I think you can refer that to the Burnsville News, and if you want to check there.
I'm coming to the source.
Yeah, that's politics. I can talk to you about township issues, but if you want to learn about that, you can read about it on the
I have a lot of
Burnsville
respect for
News.
this committee, but this sounds like Russia to me, and I don't expect this kind of stuff to happen in my backyard. So I'm hoping that this is not the practice of integrity that this committee follows. And can I receive assurances that something like this would not be happening?
Well, I would,
Politics or not?
like I said, I think the Burnsville News covered it.
I
and
wasn't
you're-
here, so I didn't
well,
see
there's-
any of that coverage.
It's
I-
all online. It's online.
Well, I'm asking you guys.
All right, thank you for your comment, but I'm not going to comment about politics up here. But thanks. Anybody else? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to our subcommittee comments, and we'll start with Mr. Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. The only thing I've got is for JVH. This past Tuesday, I was privileged to go down to Somerville to accept an award, and with that, I really want to yield my time and my report to the folks that deserve it. Robin Ray and Craig Sutherland are here. I think that if you'd like to give the news, I think it's only appropriate. Robin did a great job. She did all of the underwriting for the grant, and under Craig's direction, they have excellent news, and I'll turn it over to them.
Well, we're happy to show a check for $173,790 from the county. very exciting to have gotten.
Very good.
In addition to that, we've also received a $50,000 grant from the New Jersey Historical Commission for design plans and really put together the building plans in order to help bring this forward and take it to the next step. This is really a phase one support proposition. We'll be looking at total costs of probably close to about 1.3 million, so it's a beginning. We certainly have raised some money in the past to help add to this, but we have a long way to go. But with this and with this county support, it gives us a foundation for which to begin to build with our private donation sources and move forward, which we're doing. We do have some work to do. We've got big events coming up, which are the annual Colonial Christmas event, which will be happening at the end of November, beginning of December. And then we have a major fundraiser planned for late May of 2019, our 21 Gun Salute. This is our 20th anniversary, and we're actually doing our event in our 21st year, so that's why we're coming up with the 21 Gun Salute and moving forward with it. We also have mentioned to the committee in the past, and we'll be back shortly, we're in need of painting the exterior of the house, for which we'd certainly like this committee's support and the township support to move forward with. The original estimates that we were getting were quite expensive, in the mid to high $20,000, and we now have one at approximately $14,000, which makes a lot more sense. So we're refining it at this point, and we'll be back in touch with you concerning that. And those are really the major issues. Thank Committeeman Stevenson for his support through all of this. Was with us last Tuesday night down at the county for the receipt of our check, our styrofoam, and to move forward accordingly. Robin, anything you'd like to add?
Well, just that the 173 plus grant from the county plus the grant from the New Jersey State Historic Commission really gives a lot of credibility to our project, so our private funders are very anxious to get started in helping us. So that's our next phase. We have some meetings set up, hopefully Thursday of this week, and then again next week. So that'll get us through phase one, which is really digging the hole in the ground, reconstructing the frame, the historic frame, and shelling that historic frame, and then worrying about the inners in phase two. So we're confident that we'll have the funding for that, hopefully, to break ground in the spring. There's a lot of legwork that's going to have to be done with the township and public works and construction meetings and all of that. So once we meet with the professionals over the next week or two, hopefully we'll have a timeline that we can present to the township to go over everything in more detail.
So Robin, with the 223 that you have, and I guess with some of the private funding, that's enough to really take you through foundation, construction of the frame, and the outside sheeting?
Correct.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, we'll be working with, again, our architects and the builder in order to take it through to the next step. We've all put a firm stamp of approval on the builder, John King, who's known in this area and known to some of the folks here. So hopefully that will be of great assist in moving forward, and we'll be devising those plans over the near term.
Congratulations, guys.
Right, and
Very good.
the thought here is that once you now have in tow, it will open up the purse string for other folks that were committed to it, and they see that there's actually substantial funding behind it, and that there's light at the end of the tunnel, and
It's a shot in the arm we really needed.
that's right. That's right. So
All right. Very good. Congratulations.
Okay,
again,
great.
Robin's
Thanks.
a great job with the filling out the grant and all that.
Thank you. A lot of work, a lot of writing.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you. We got back tomorrow night, so that's all I got.
Okay, Mr. Hickey?
Mayor, thank you. I have no updates, bunch of meetings this week. I'll bring those reports back to our next meeting.
Mr. Jacobs?
Mayor, we had a police board meeting last week, which I was not able to attend, but you were, so you can report on that. And last week, we attended the Sumner County Governing Officials meeting. This is not necessarily a subcommittee, but it was something that we attended. And Colin was there, I was there, and you showed up.
At the end.
At
I
the
missed all.
end, you had other pressing obligations. And also attending were Mayor Metelsky, Sally Rubin and Bernie Payne, and the focus was on shared services. We had Governor Murphy's shared service czars, Nicholas Platt, the mayor from Harding, and Jordan Glatt, the mayor from Summit. And it was generally about what Governor Murphy's administration can offer for municipalities looking to share services. And a lot of it is stuff that we know because we've already had those meetings with DCA in the past. One of the interesting comments I think that came up is that on the interest ARP cap, there's no expectations for any change with in the coming year or two. So that is a little bit discouraging for municipalities. But they were talking generally about where you get the most bang for the buck on shared services, and police services were number one, and DCA and the Murphy administration remain committed to working with municipalities and helping. And they didn't really have much to offer in terms of financial incentives to get the municipalities to move. They're hoping that eventually they can get Trenton to move in that direction. But for now, those additional financial incentives are not there. They're just offering administrative assistance to get the process going.
Well, I hope that's good news. I know Mayor Platt pretty well, and I know he's rather innovative and passionate about such things, and I thought he was an excellent choice by the governor. And I know Larry, you and I have both had conversations with President Sweeney, Senate President Sweeney, specifically about shared services. And we know he is one of the leaders down in Trenton on both sides of the aisle on shared services. It is extremely disappointing that they took the arbitration cap off the table, because it's really hard to keep your budget under 2% when your largest line item on your budget is going to be allowed, probably not allowed, but encouraged to grow well above 2%. So that kind of puts you in a box, but maybe that's the box that'll require shared services, I suspect, but more to follow.
It was very well attended.
That's great.
Colin, anything else to fill in?
No, I think you've covered it, but it was good to see that so many local officials were trying to solve the very same problem, right? We're all in it together. There's everybody acknowledges it's something we all should be doing, and that's encouraging in and of itself.
Right, the municipalities that were there, certainly, this stretches across party line. This is really about providing services efficiently and also improving services. And that's both an opportunity through municipalities cooperating with each other. And Mayor, with that, from EC, just as Doug deferred, Renee, if you have anything to add from EC.
Hi, Renee Moreski, Chair of EC. We actually have a meeting coming up Wednesday here at 7 o'clock. We don't have a lot going on, but we are going to review some of our old projects, including the EV charging station. I'm going to go over with the committee some plans to work with John Manns about cleaning up the AT&T pond before the end of the year. And I thought it actually might be a good time to invite people in our audience to join us on Wednesday, because it'd be a good time for us to get to know you and chat with us and see if you want to become a part of the environmental committee.
Great.
Thank you, Larry, again, and Robin, especially for the farmers market. It was dreary, and I was only there for a little while, but it's still always, the people are always enthusiastic, and we've had some new vendors and some really cool things going on, and we're happy to be a part of that.
Great. Thank you. Trina, did you get that? That was farmers market. Just because it's the first time it came up in conversation tonight, so I just want to be sure that you got it.
It won't be the last, Larry, it won't be the last.
Put it in the minutes.
Yeah.
That's all.
But Renee, you bring up a good point, because I will tell you one of the more difficult things that the mayor gets to do, or has to do, or needs to do, is at the end of the year, fill the volunteer boards. And sometimes we have lots of volunteers, and sometimes we don't. And you need to fill the various boards, and we have literally dozens of seats on boards that we fill every year. And getting good people, enthusiastic people, the right people that have time on their hands and have the skills to contribute is, like I said, one of the most difficult things that I've had to face in 6 years as mayor, and I know Mayor Holtaway beforehand told me that he found that that was one of his biggest challenges, year in and year out, and it shows if if it isn't the right decision, it's not good if you get somebody that really doesn't have the time. They might have the energy but not the time, and if they can't make the meetings, then sometimes you don't get quorums, and then sometimes you don't get work done. So we hope that your meeting is attended, and we hope that people tell their friends to, it's right on our website. There's a volunteer form. Fill it out. You can show what you're interested in, and you got to be to win it. You got to have your name in to be considered. So that every little bit helps. And Ms. Santucci.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have an update on Fall Fest. So before I came here tonight, myself and Dave Grondike met with AT&T. So thank you to Colin and Wendy Hickey for making that connection. So we'll be able to watch some football games or some sort of sports games at Fall Fest. They're going to bring their vehicles. They'll be able to have charging stations, and it'll be something a little different at Fall Fest. So they're excited, and they're looking for opportunities to partner with us to kind of raise some more funds for Fall Fest. So it'll be neat. Something different. All the people who go, I have a game on or something like that, they'll be able to watch. So
No
there's,
excuses, you gotta stay.
What'd you say?
No excuses, now you have to stay.
Now you have to stay. So there's, I think, 2 big screens. They might bring a third one, maybe set it up for some children's movies in another area, not necessarily the beer tent. But so we're working on that. So it's just something different. That's just an update. And thank you again, Colin and Wendy, for setting that up. That was really nice. That's my update.
All right.
Something fun.
Well, I don't really have anything other than I did attend the land use board. There was a variance approved, but it wasn't really earth-shattering. So mostly just routine business with the land use board. All right, with that, Trina, if you can give us the administrator's report.
Judy actually doesn't have a report this week.
No report?
Colin-
Administrator, no report?
I know. Colin did want me to bring up that the website is now live with the tax payments.
Oh, good.
We saw that. It looks really good.
Yeah, I did talk to the tax office about that today. So CityNet is up and live since October 1st, and she said about 10 to 15 people have used it since then.
So we got to get the word out. The big blue button right on the home page. Click on there, and you can pay your fourth quarter taxes instantaneously. So it works very smoothly. So.
Now you can pay with your account, your checking or savings account. You cannot pay with credit card.
Correct. Not with credit card, only with checking or savings.
So it's a debit?
Correct.
Is there any additional charge to the?
50 cents, yeah, just for processing.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, it's only 50 cents processing fee.
Is it a debit? Well, I don't mean to be technical. Is it a debit or is it EFT? Do you have to have a debit card? Or are you putting in your?
You're actually putting in your account information,
So
your
it's
checking account, like you would put it in you take it off your check, routing and,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
All right.
It's also, this is the first year doing it, right? This is
Yes.
the first quarter doing it, and
Yep.
this is all because of the website upgrade.
Yep.
Mayor, one more thing about Fall Fest and
Fall Fest.
Farmers Market. I wanted to
Did you
say
get that
Farmers
Farmers
Market
Put another one.
in the same sentence. The Farmers Market, the last date is going to be October 27th. It's going to coincide with Fall Fest.
Funny you should mention that. So while you mentioned Farmers Market, so correct, the Farmers Market will be, the last day will be October 27th, same day as Fall Fest. Robin and I and Renee actually discussed relocating the farmers market from where it's been in the front parking lot to the back of the fields. So whereas Fall Fest has a $5 admission fee, the farmers market has no admission fee.
Correct.
So the farmers market will be situated
Yes, before you have to pay.
before you have to pay.
Right.
So-
The $5 admission fee for the Fall Fest. That's pretty. So Dave Grondike talked about tonight. It's about 260 feet before. He's very technical. He has everything laid out. So it's probably going to be in the perfect spot for a farmer's market.
Well, Robin will make sure it's in the perfect spot for the farmers market.
Yeah, it's been going great.
Actually, John.
Oh, no.
And the weather should be great. We won't be hot this time.
We won't be 95 degrees.
I dare to bring it up, but since we're on the subject of the FM, is it going to take place this week with the?
Yes.
Okay.
To be discussed further with Robin and I, probably before we go into executive session.
Oh, so there's a chance it might not.
No, Rob and I just want to have a brief discussion, but for now,
Polling
it
everybody.
is on board.
Okay. All right. All right, moving on. Discussion of introduced ordinances, we don't have any. We do have one ordinance to introduce, and that'd be 2018-012. That's an ordinance authorizing the appropriation of $12,000 for various office equipment for the administration and recreation departments. This ordinance authorizes appropriating $12,000 for a heavy-duty copier for the administration and rec department in Bedminster Township, funded by the capital account and the Recreation Trust account. Public hearing for this ordinance is scheduled for November 5th, 2018, 7 p.m., right here in these chambers. Can I get a motion to introduce 2018-12?
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. That's not a, no, because we're not passing.
Probably should do a roll call though.
Would you like to do a roll call, Trina?
Okay. No?
No, I don't think so. They're all ayes, so how about that? Public hearing on ordinances, we don't have any. Consent agenda.
You don't have?
I don't think we have a consent agenda, nor resolutions, so we can go right to the bill list. So can I get a motion to approve the bill list pending the approval of individual invoices?
So moved?
Second.
This would be,
A roll call vote.
Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Mr. Jacobs?
Aye.
Ms. Santucci?
Aye.
And Mayor Parker.
aye. Discussion items, are there any discussion items that do not include, that are not under the new business or old business? Is there new business? So let's go right to the old business. Short-term rentals. Mr. Stevenson, anything new on that?
I've got no update on the short-term rentals. I'm unaware of any other complaints coming up or that have come up since last time.
All right, no new developments. Well, other than, well, I guess you talked about last time that the governor down in Trenton, they had a tax that's being proposed.
Right.
Right.
But we talked about that last time. All right, moving right on to engine braking. Anything new in the world of engine braking on 206?
We got an email from one of the residents behind 206 asking about just looking at the different restricted roads and unrestricted roads in New Jersey. I forwarded the email to Doug and Colin, and you guys can take it from there.
We will make an inquiry into DOT. If you don't ask, don't get, so give it a shot.
I seem, as I mentioned today, I seem to recall, and don't quote me on it, but when I first moved in back in 03-04 timeframe, that there was some sort of restriction, but then it was subsequently lifted. And then we had more tractor-trailer traffic on 206, but we'll look into it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Chief, do you remember anything like that?
I do remember there was something that dealt with, certain size commercial vehicles could only travel on the interstate highway system, and I think they pulled back on that to a certain weight amount, but specifically I can't recall the exact.
I think it was a court case that allowed that.
Yeah.
No, you guys will find out.
We'll make an inquiry.
Okay, I'm going to move to Pluckerman Park first, and then we'll get to Tuttle Avenue, because I think Tuttle Avenue will take a little bit more time. Any news on Pluckerman Park? I did see some email traffic between the folks managing Pluckerman Park and Mr. Price. I think by looking at the email, it looks like the manager for Pluckerman Park is proposing to make some improvements. I think we'll believe it when we see it and hope that it's all for the best and hope that it works well for the residents. I think some of the things address some of the items we talked about, but I'm hoping that those are done in a speedy manner.
Right. We did have conversations early this morning with Trina. Ken Rogers and Jeff were not in today to give a more detailed update, so this communication was the last bit that we have, but does now seem like that there's a new management company involved, and they've indicated both a financial commitment to making those repairs as well as a timing commitment. So we'll just keep this on the agenda and make sure we keep track of where they stand.
Yep. Which brings me to permission to use the right-of-way, 56 Tuttle Avenue. I actually happened to stop in Town Hall midday today, and the new owner was in, trying to determine if she needed to be here for tonight's meeting. I think it was going to be a challenge for her to do it, but she was very anxious to see us address this tonight. And Mr. Bellardo, what is...
I see there's a letter, I see there's a letter from the neighbor that was on my desk here tonight. I haven't had a chance to really read through it. I did write to the homeowner, ask for a copy of a survey that was performed in conjunction with their closing, a survey that was dated August of this year, and also they sent a title policy. I really wanted to look at their title commitment as well, so I'm waiting to get that from the property owner. So that's about all I have on 56 Tuttle.
Okay.
Hey, John, do you happen to know, and forgive me for putting you on the spot, is adverse possession against the state something, or can you not do it?
I seem to recall that it used to be something that could run only very difficulty, but there seems to be some laws that now allow it to run under certain instances. I would have to look that up. It's not something that I've looked at in many years.
Just keep that in mind as you review the letter.
Yeah.
All right.
I would suggest at some point, I think there probably needs to be a site inspection with the professionals, because I have not been out there. I'm not sure of the issues. I certainly had some communication with the town engineer, Mr. Ferrero, this week, who had certain ideas. So I think it's something that calls for a site inspection to get fully involved, rather than just attempting to do this by way of email and correspondence back and forth.
John, at this point, do we know, was it a dedicated right-of-way? Is the right-of-way already existing?
I would have to conduct a title search, but it's certainly shown on your tax map, and I did look at the tax map as a public road. It's not shown as a private road. Looks like it's a public road. I mean, you'd really have to do a tax search.
Okay.
I mean, if that's something that you want done, then that's something we can arrange to have done. But from my limited ability and what's been supplied to me, and it hasn't been a lot, it's on your map as a public road.
Okay.
Well, I think we had one of the other questions last time was if we could go back and research. Like I said, we have a letter from the owners on the other side, and I don't know if they were the original owners, going back to when that driveway was put in, what appears to be on the paper road. But was there an arrangement made back then? Is there anything on paper? Is there anything that the town agreed to back then? Because it seems like 56 Tuttle is asking to simply do the same thing that these other people got to do, and maybe nothing was memorialized. Maybe everybody just agreed to look the other way. I don't know, but it seems like there's a fairly simple, non-bureaucratic solution, I would hope, but...
Well, it's interesting, because that survey that's from 1958 shows the road as being in the name of the estate of George Layton.
Right.
So, you know, this is like at your classic law school property exam question. You'd really need a title search to figure out what happened there, or to have somebody go back and look at town resolutions or minutes, because there's a history here.
When was the subdivision for the Layton property? Do you know? I don't recall.
All right. Well, let's, sounds like there's more work to be done, but could we at least try to get some more answers for the
I know that
first November meeting?
There was given to Jeff Price a drawing, or a handwritten drawing, of where the potential garage was going to go on the property. And Paul and I and Jeff looked at it, and it looks like it's going to be the driveway coming out on the Layton property, not out on the roadway. So as the Lynch property, his driveway is on the Layton's property for the most part. So it does exit out from the Layton's property onto his property.
On the Layton's property, but not the paper road?
And he confirmed that with me during the conversation at one point. So there, you know, those agreements that were set many, many years ago, you know, would she have to do the same thing with Mr. Layton? Maybe, maybe not.
All right, well, let's
There's more work to be done.
let's make a goal of seeing that we can get at least some answers or a proposal, something for the first November meeting. All right. All right, and with that, we move to our second edition of public comments. Same microphone, same rules apply. Please, anybody that wishes to come up. Seeing none, we will go to Township Committee comments. Realizing we have an executive session, but I don't believe that executive session is going to result in any more action here. So we'll start with Mr. Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a public service announcement. So I was at the football game last weekend. By the way, it was a phenomenal game. And I was in the stands, and I had my phone with me, and I don't realize it, but if anybody's got an iPhone, you got a button on the side here. I was pressing it repeatedly just because I was being fidgety, and I looked down, and I know, but I was placing a phone call to 911. My phone had gone red, and it was beeping at me and flashing, and I couldn't turn it off fast enough. I got to it too late, and I got a return phone call from 911. And I had to give my name and all that stuff embarrassingly, but I had to explain to them all was well. I was just nervous with the football game, but all kidding aside, I didn't realize that, but if you press that button repeatedly, it will make an automatic 911 call for you, so there you go. That's my public announcement.
Now, since my dog ate my TV remote, which is a true story, by the way, my wife has then told me, well, you know, you can go onto the website and you can turn your phone into a television remote.
Yeah, I've done that too.
But the way I watch TV, I would likely be calling 911 just like you.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say the dog would then eat the phone.
The dog, no, that's true. No, we haven't let the dog do that yet. All right, well, that's interesting.
I hope useful to somebody.
There you go.
Do you need to take
That's
away
great,
the phone now?
Doug.
No, when I'm fidgety, I put my phone away.
I can give it to my dog. I'll take care of it. All right. Mr. Hickey?
Mayor, thank you. Along the lines of public service announcements, our Board of Health meeting is on Thursday. They've been emphasizing that everybody get a flu shot, so much so that the doctor who sits on the board is going to administer flu shots at the Board of Health meeting to everybody who's at the meeting itself. But they keep reminding us, get a flu shot. Now it's October, so I'll pass that along.
So she's going to do flu shots here Thursday night.
Thursday night.
Wow.
Yes. I don't know if it's open wide, but I think at least to the board members. But if anybody else did show up, I'm sure she wouldn't reject them.
Okay.
Well, I tell you what, I know that the doc has been extremely generous in the past. She also sits on our LEPC, and she has made sure that she has opened up flu shots from her office to all of our first responders. And I just think that's phenomenal. That's something that word doesn't get out on that, and she just does it. She just does it, which I find amazing.
Yep.
So good on her, and thank you. Mr. Jacobs?
Just a quick question. Has the mayor's dog been dog at the market yet?
No.
No?
No, your signs are all still intact.
True.
If your signs were rumpled and destroyed and run away with, then you would know Fergus had been there. So, no.
No further comments. That was it.
All right.
I have no comments, Mayor.
All right. Nope, I think I'll keep it short too. We have an executive session. Like I said, there is no action we expect to come out of executive session. So if I can get a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll see you inside. All right, it's 8:25 and we're out of executive session. Does anybody have any other comments?
No, Mayor.
If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night.
Nice. Well, last time you
Decisive.
didn't have it.
I had to do this.
Good one.
That's what I did to
Go on.
Greg and Mimi Brown's house.